With each passing chapter after Ippo's initial retirement, the anticipation for his grand return grows only stronger and stronger. Fans have been speculating for years what, who and when the initial trigger could be and how far Ippo's going to go back into the world of boxing. But one aspect that gets glanced over is Ippo's initial comeback fights and how they are going to turn out in the end. There are some obvious candidates as to who Ippo's going to face later down in the story after he comes out of retirement, but still there are other characters that are also on the list of Ippo's possible comeback opponents that are not talked about enough. For this video I will categorize each possible character Ippo could face off in his comeback, ranging from confirmed comeback fights to possible opponents in the future, and lastly, unlikely but still with a chance. The confirmed fights that Ippo will have are self-explanatory, meaning these fights must happen in any kind of shape or form in order for both Ippo and the opponent he is facing to have some sort of closure on their arc. Possible opponents in the future are opponents that Ippo could face off against but does not necessarily need to. There could be a story told on these opponents to also give them a closure to the story or to boost Ippo's boxing rankings, but they also do not necessarily need to happen. Lastly, the unlikely category is for characters that are still in the story but have a very slim chance of facing Ippo and genuinely do not need to, but it could happen in one way, shape or form. Starting off, who I think Ippo is going to fight and has been teased again and again is Imai. Leaving aside that Imai literally cosplays Ippo but only with Mashiba's eyebrows, ever since Imai became Ippo's successor as the Japanese champion, he has been longing for an official match against Ippo. The very first chapter after Ippo's retirement makes it even more obvious, where Imai has a title defense, and when asked who he wants to face in the future, it's Ippo, even though he has been retired a chapter ago. And yes, I know that Imai and Ippo sparred a few times before, where Imai had the upper hand, but ever since Imai became the Japanese champion, he also became obsessed with the fact that people are glancing over him, because he's been overshadowed by other Japanese featherweights like Sendo and Miyata, even though he is their national champion. That's the reason he's on a one-round KO spree, where he defended his title for the 5th time in the first round via KO against Hoshi, and even called out Sendo for overshadowing him and wanting to face him. And guess what Sendo does? He points directly at Ippo and suggests Imai face Ippo if he wants to prove his worth. I can see that in Ippo's comeback fights, Imai might be the second or even the very first opponent he will face. To humble Imai, Ippo will end their match via a first round KO to show Imai where he belongs in the boxing world. Whether their match will be for the Japanese title is up for debate, but it could be a nice mirror to Date, who also retired for many years and made a comeback by winning the Japanese championship. But ultimately, it really does not need to happen. The next opponent which is 100% confirmed to have a match against the returning Ippo in the future is Itagaki. Ever since Itagaki joined the Kamogawa gym, it has been teased time and time again that he could have a match against Ippo. Imai mentioned that he is only going to be overshadowed as long as he stays in the same gym as Ippo and is a fool to not challenge him for the title when he is still active. Mari pointed out that Itagaki is envious of Ippo for possessing things that Itagaki does not have: punching power, national and even worldwide fame, and a cute girlfriend. Hell, even Itagaki himself has moments where he is secretly malicious, looking at Ippo in an antagonistic way and even trying to reach out to him in an unconscious state before coming back to his senses. Of course, as we all know, Itagaki fell into a slump at the same time as Ippo lost for a second time and has only gotten decision wins ever since. But I think when Ippo makes his big return, it will motivate Itagaki to do better as well, seeing his senpai stronger than ever, claiming back his rankings and aiming for the world stage. It could even make him jealous again, seeing that someone supposedly in the same gym as him, and the retired boxer at that, surpass him so quickly. So what I believe is going to happen is that Itagaki is going to leave the Kamogawa gym and get trained by someone who is also a counter specialist. My inner fanboy says he gets trained by Nekotaro or even Sawamura, but it doesn't necessarily need to happen. I believe that somewhere after Ippo's fight against Imai, Itagaki is going to challenge Ippo for a match to initially test his abilities against the man who he looked up to for so many years. And I think Ippo is going to get a KO win somewhere in the 3rd or 5th round. A fight that I think that has the potential to happen is Ippo's rematch against Antonio Guevarra. As you all know, Guevara is the boxer that retired Ippo from professional boxing and took his world rankings, which was 7th in the world. It has been many years since then, and Guevara still must be somewhere out there around the world stage. The way Morikawa ends a character's story arc is to give them a conclusion that is satisfying to the character, be it reaching a goal or finally unleashing their potential. In the case of Guevara, Guevara, after he won against Ippo, he just dipped out of the story. What I think is that Morikawa is setting up Guevara to make a comeback in the story. To prove how much Ippo has improved physically, mentally and emotionally, I think he's going to write a rematch against the boxer that retired him. Of course, I think Guevara also toughened up, but this match's purpose is to show how much Ippo has developed compared to his former self, and to give Guevara a satisfying conclusion in the story. One fight that everybody wants to see but has a slim possibility of happening is Ippo vs Sendo 3. Believe me, I also want to see Ippo kicking Sendo's ass a third time because it would be funny, and Sendo even stated that he would unalive himself if that were to happen. Sendo's grand goal was to face off against Ippo again and this time to defeat him, but Ippo infamously lost to Alfredo Gonzalez and then retired, so Sendo's goals shifted. His first task was to defeat Gonzalez and then to challenge Ricardo Martinez for the world title, and then call out Ippo out of retirement to have a head start for the world's title. But story-wise, I do not believe that current Sendo has what it takes to defeat Ricardo Martinez. Sendo is currently developing a brand new version of the smash alongside Miyata, but Ricardo is just built way too differently. I think Ricardo will ultimately defeat and even retire Sendo. Even after Sendo loses and Ippo returns to the ring, having a third match will not add anything significant to the story, since Sendo's big wish was to fight the strongest man on earth, and he may be retired for life after facing Ricardo. I mean, look at what Martinez did to Data, McCallum and Wally. He gave them permanent injuries that make it impossible to box again. I think Sendo will also not be able to box again after his fight with Martinez and will not be able to have a third showdown against Ippo. However, who Ippo will fight 100% for the final fight is going to be the man himself, Ricardo Martinez. Martinez is aware that Ippo still has an influence on the boxing world even though he has been retired for so many years, and will not mind having a fight against Ippo after Ippo comes back and climbs up the rankings. Martinez's and Ippo's boxing journey mirror each other, with both seeking out the answer to of what it means to become strong. I think in our official match, both men are going to find the answers. I know we are still many years away from Ippo returning and slowly challenging Ricardo for the title, but until then, I believe Ippo's fight against Ricardo Martinez is either going to be the second to last or the last fight of the series. But there's one more man that makes it complicated as to who Ippo's last opponent is, and that is the man Ippo looks up to the most, Miyata. I mean, come on, Ippo and Miyata are Goku and Vegeta, the Naruto and Sasuke of the story. Even after the big bad villain is defeated, they somehow are going to finish the story with Ippo facing off against Miyata in the end. The only reason why Miyata is still in the featherweight division is because he's still holding on to the faith that Ippo might return to the ring, and both of them could finally have their dream match they have wanted for so many years. As to when exactly that fight is going to take place, it is either going to be the second to last fight for Ippo to qualify to fight Martinez for the title, or it's going to be the last fight because Morikawa just likes to drag this fight. And as you guys know, it will only take Ippo one clean hit to send Miyata flying across the ring, since he is so fragile, and Ippo gets the win on that one too. I'd like to thank my awesome member April for being such a bro and supporting my channel. If you have enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more Hajime no Ippo content. I'm the Reading Crow, and thanks for watching.